Alex had been traveling through space for weeks, and his body was begging for rest. The orbital station above Zithra Prime was still new, its sleek corridors and glowing panels unfamiliar. He had spent the last few days inspecting machinery, monitoring oxygen levels, and fixing minor malfunctions. The work was tiring, but satisfying. Humanity was stretching its reach into the stars, and Alex was proud to be part of it, finally. After a long shift, he decided it was time to rest. His small quarters were neat, almost sterile, yet comfortable enough. A soft hum from the station's engines filled the room. He set his tools down, shut the lights, and lay on the bed, letting his mind drift into the sweet relief of sleep. The first few hours passed quietly. The stars outside the viewport shimmered in their distant, steady rhythm. Then, something unexpected happened. Alex felt a sudden weight on top of him, warm and surprisingly soft. His eyes shot open, heart racing. There she was, Lyra. The alien maid had somehow tripped over a loose cable and fallen onto his bed. Her pale, almost translucent skin glimmered faintly in the soft lights, and her large, violet eyes widened in embarrassment. Her lithe frame had pressed lightly against him, and for a moment, Alex froze, unsure of what to do. "Are you okay?" he asked, blinking. Lyra's voice was soft, musical, almost like the sound of wind passing through chimes. She nodded quickly but did not move away. Instead, she whispered a single word in her alien tongue. The words seemed strange at first, but Alex felt something shift inside him. He didn't understand why, but it sparked a warmth he had never felt before. "It's all right," Alex said slowly, trying to calm himself. You don't have to stay on me." Lyra's lips curved into a small, almost shy smile. She moved gracefully to the side of the bed, careful not to step on the cables. Her hands hovered near the edge of the bed for balance, and then she glanced back at him. That same word escaped her again, barely audible. Alex couldn't explain it. The word made him feel safe, important, for reasons he couldn't name. He wanted to know her better. The next morning, Alex woke to find Lyra tidying the room as though nothing had happened. Her movements were precise, yet delicate, as if she were dancing silently with the objects around her. The way she handled things fascinated him. Every gesture was graceful, almost human. Yet there was a quality about her that was undeniably alien. "You're early," Alex said. Still half asleep, Lyra turned, her eyes meeting his. "I noticed you needed rest," she said. Her English perfect, but tinged with the lilting tone of her home planet. "I thought it best to ensure your sleep was undisturbed." Alex raised an eyebrow. "By falling on me?" Lyra tilted her head, as if considering his question. "Accidents happen," she replied simply. There was a quiet honesty in her tone that made Alex laugh softly. As days passed, Alex began noticing other small things. Lyra seemed to anticipate problems before they arose. If a panel flickered or a sensor emitted a strange beep, she was already there, adjusting settings, tightening screws, or resetting the system. Machines seemed to respond better when she was nearby. One evening, Alex was struggling with a stubborn control module. The readout kept showing errors, and his patience was wearing thin. Lyra approached silently, almost gliding over the floor. She didn't speak immediately. Instead, she studied the module for a few seconds, her violet eyes scanning the components with remarkable focus. Then, with a few precise movements, she adjusted a connection. The screen flickered, and the error vanished. Alex stared at her. "How did you?" Lyra smiled faintly. "I am trained," she said simply, though Alex suspected there was more to it. Her gaze lingered on him for a moment. Then she stepped back, as if not wanting to intrude. He realized that she wasn't just a maid. Not really. Her knowledge, her intuition, even her care, seemed far beyond what a simple assistant should possess. The next night, Alex couldn't sleep. His mind was buzzing with thoughts about Lyra. He wondered why she whispered that word the night she fell on him, and why it made him feel so connected. He had to know more. He walked quietly through the station's dim corridors, hoping to find her. He found her in the maintenance bay, gently repairing a service drone that had malfunctioned earlier. She hummed a soft tune as she worked, her fingers moving with effortless precision. "You're awake," she said without looking up. I couldn't sleep, Alex admitted. I wanted to see if you were okay. Lyra paused her work and looked at him. Her eyes were calm, but something in them seemed to shine a little brighter. I am always okay, she said. The work is simple. Alex stepped closer. Lyra, that word you whispered. What does it mean? She hesitated, her hands stilling. For a moment, she seemed unsure if she should answer. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. It is connection, trust, a bond. Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. He didn't fully understand, but he knew the word meant more than just language. It was something deeper, something that linked them, beyond words, beyond species. The station's alarm suddenly blared, startling both of them. A minor system malfunction had triggered the emergency lights. Alex moved instinctively, heading to the source. Lyra followed without hesitation, guiding him as they worked together to stabilize the situation. Her presence was calming, and Alex realized how much he relied on her instinct and knowledge. Once the lights returned to normal, they stood in the quiet hum of the restored station. Alex glanced at Lyra, a question forming on his lips, but he didn't speak. She simply met his gaze and gave a faint nod. That nod was enough. He felt a strange reassurance. No matter what the station, the stars, or the universe threw at him, Lyra would be there. And somehow, he would be there for her too. That night, as Alex lay in his bed, he thought about the alien maid who had fallen on him. Her word, her voice, her eyes, they lingered in his mind. He realized that life on this station was going to be very different from anything he had imagined. Not because of danger or adventure, but because of the connection he felt with Lyra. Somewhere deep in his chest, a small spark of understanding began to grow. The universe was vast, full of mysteries. But perhaps the most profound ones weren't in the stars or machines. Perhaps they were in the quiet trust, the small gestures, and the unspoken bonds between beings human or otherwise. Alex drifted into sleep once more, this time with a smile. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing for certain. Life on Zithra Prime was going to be extraordinary, and Lyra would be at the heart of it. The next morning, Alex woke with a sense of anticipation. His mind was still replaying Lyra's whispered word, the strange feeling it had stirred in him. Even though it was only a single word, its meaning lingered, like a faint echo that refused to fade. As he dressed for his shift, he noticed something unusual. Lyra was already in the corridor, moving with a quiet grace as she carried a small toolkit. Her violet eyes met his, and for a brief moment, it felt as if she understood his every thought. Alex shook his head slightly, blaming his imagination, and followed her to the maintenance bay. The station's corridors were quiet. Most of the crew were still asleep, leaving only the low hum of the engines and the soft glow of the panels to fill the space. Lyra moved with a kind of fluidity that fascinated Alex. She didn't rush. Yet she reached her destination faster than anyone would expect. Her presence was calming, almost magnetic. "You are early," Alex said, adjusting the strap of his tool bag. Lyra tilted her head slightly, a gesture that seemed almost human. "I noticed you were awake," she replied softly, "and I thought it best to ensure the morning systems were running smoothly." Alex nodded, his curiosity growing. There was something about Lyra that went beyond her role as a maid. He had seen her repair drones, recalibrate sensors, and even troubleshoot complex systems with remarkable speed. But now, it seemed she was attuned not just to the machines, but to the humans on the station as well. As they reached the maintenance bay, Alex noticed a control panel flashing red. A minor error, but one that could escalate if ignored. He started working on it, but Lyra gently stepped closer, her hand hovering over the controls. "Try this," she suggested, her voice calm and reassuring. Alex followed her instructions, adjusting a series of settings. Within moments, the warning light faded. He looked at her, amazed. "How did you know that would work?" he asked. Lyra smiled faintly. "I observed patterns," she said, "and I learned quickly." Her words were simple, but Alex sensed there was more beneath them. She didn't just follow protocols. She understood. There was a depth to her awareness that went beyond what he had seen in any human colleague or AI system, Over the next few days, Alex began to notice subtle changes in Lyra's behavior. She would appear at just the right moment, offering a helping hand or a piece of advice before he even asked for it. She anticipated problems, not just with machinery, but with the station's routines and even the crew's needs. One evening, Alex was working late on a particularly stubborn system. The panel refused to reset, and frustration gnawed at him. Lyra appeared silently, her violet eyes watching him with quiet patience. "You are trying too hard," she said softly. "Take a step back, and the solution will come to you." Alex frowned, unsure if he understood. But he followed her advice, letting the problem rest while he reviewed the schematics again. Moments later, the system responded to a minor adjustment he had overlooked. "You were right," he admitted, a small smile forming on his face. Lyra's eyes sparkled faintly. "Sometimes, observation is as important as action," she replied. It was not just her intelligence that impressed Alex, but her understanding of him. She seemed to know when he needed guidance, when he needed encouragement, and even when he needed space. He realized that she was more than a maid. She was a partner in every sense of the word. One night, as Alex was preparing for sleep, he heard a soft knock at his door. He opened it to find Lyra holding a small tray with water and a nutrient pack. Her expression was neutral, but there was a gentle warmth in her eyes. "You forgot to eat," she said simply, placing the tray on his desk. Alex felt a strange mix of gratitude and curiosity. "Why do you care?" he asked quietly. Lyra hesitated, then whispered the same words she had spoken the night she fell on him. Alex felt that same warmth he had felt before, the same inexplicable connection. "It is important," she said softly. "We are connected." Alex's mind raced. Connected? What did she mean by that? He wanted to ask more, but the exhaustion of the day caught up with him, and he nodded silently. Lyra left the room as quietly as she had come, leaving him with a sense of wonder and anticipation. The following week brought more unusual events. Minor malfunctions occurred in the station's power grid, causing temporary gravity fluctuations. Alex was called to the control room to assist. As he worked to stabilize the systems, Lyra appeared beside him, her hands moving with precise efficiency. Together, they corrected the errors faster than anyone else could have. During a short break, Alex finally asked the question that had been on his mind for days. "Lyra, why are you really here? Are you just a maid?" She paused, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, she seemed to weigh her words carefully. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am designed to assist, but not only that. I observe humans, their thoughts, their feelings, their courage, and sometimes I form bonds." Alex blinked, stunned. "Bonds?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, that word I whispered. It is a bond. It connects us, human to alien. It allows understanding beyond words." Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. The idea was strange, almost impossible. Yet, the trust and warmth he had felt since the first night made sense now. He wasn't just imagining it. Lyra's presence, her guidance, her quiet care was part of something larger, something profound. Days passed, and their bond deepened. Alex began to rely on her instinct as much as his own knowledge. He noticed how she moved when he was in danger, how she anticipated issues before they arose, and how her quiet presence could calm his anxious mind. One night, a sudden alarm jolted him awake. Gravity in one sector had failed completely, and warning lights flashed across the station. Alex scrambled, trying to stabilize the systems, but the problem was complex. Lyra appeared instantly, moving with fluid grace. "Follow me," she said. Together, they navigated the zero-gravity corridors, Lyra guiding him with precise instructions. Her hands were steady as they adjusted panels, recalibrated sensors, and rerouted power. Alex realized that her abilities went beyond normal training. She could sense problems, anticipate failures, and act with speed and accuracy that was almost superhuman. As the system stabilized, Alex finally allowed himself a moment to breathe. He looked at Lyra, realizing that he had come to depend on her, not just for survival, but for understanding. She was more than a helper. She was a companion, a guide, and perhaps even a friend. When the emergency subsided, they stood together in the quiet hum of the station. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes meeting his with an intensity that made him catch his breath. She whispered the bond word again, and Alex felt a deep connection that went beyond explanation. "Thank you," he said softly, meaning more than just gratitude for her help. Lyra nodded, her expression unreadable, yet warm. "We are connected," she said as Alex finally returned to his quarters. He lay down on his bed, thinking about the strange and wonderful bond forming between them. The universe was vast and full of unknowns, but he realized that perhaps the greatest discovery was not in the stars or the machines, but in understanding, trust, and connection even with someone from a completely different world. That night, sleep came easier. He felt a quiet reassurance in knowing that whatever challenges the station, or the universe might throw at him, he would not face them alone. Lyra would be there, her presence a constant reminder that humans were not only resilient, but capable of forming bonds that transcended species, technology, and even distance. Alex closed his eyes, feeling the soft hum of the station and the gentle memory of Lyra's whisper. The days ahead promised challenges, surprises, and perhaps even danger, but he felt ready. Not just because of his skills or training, but because he had discovered something far rarer, connection. And for the first time since arriving at Zithra Prime, Alex truly felt at home. The orbital station hummed quietly, its lights casting soft glows across the polished corridors. Alex had grown accustomed to the rhythm of life aboard Zithra Prime, yet a tension lingered beneath the calm. He could feel it in the air, a faint vibration that hinted at trouble. He had been working late, recalibrating the station's life support systems, when Lyra appeared quietly at the doorway. Her violet eyes met his, full of a seriousness he hadn't seen before. "Alex," she said softly, "there's something you should know." Alex paused, wrench in hand, his heart skipping a beat. "What is it?" he asked. Lyra stepped closer, her movements deliberate and careful. "I'm not just a maid," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was created to assist humans, but also to observe you, to understand your kind, your courage, your choices, your heart." Alex's mind raced. He had suspected she was special, but this revelation was far beyond what he had imagined. "Observe me, like a study?" he asked, his voice tinged with awe. Lyra nodded. "Yes, but the bond, the word I whispered, it is more than observation. It allows me to connect, to feel your intentions, your emotions. Humans are remarkable." I was not prepared for this. Alex took a deep breath, trying to process her words. He felt a mixture of amazement, curiosity, and something deeper, something that made his chest tighten with wonder. "So, you're saying that you understand me?" Lyra's gaze softened. "Yes, more than I expected. That is why I help you. That is why I care." For a long moment, they stood in silence, the hum of the station filling the space between them. Alex realized that their bond was not just one-sided. Lyra's actions, her guidance, her presence, they were all part of a connection that went beyond words. Before Alex could respond, the station shuddered violently. Red warning lights flashed, and alarms blared throughout the corridors. Gravity in several sectors failed entirely, and panels sparked with uncontrolled energy. "Alex, this way!" Lyra shouted, her voice sharp with urgency. Together, they raced through the station, navigating zero-gravity corridors and floating debris. Panels hung loose, sparks flying dangerously close to their faces. Alex's heart pounded, but Lyra's calm presence steadied him. She moved with precision, guiding him to the central control room where the main systems were failing. Alex immediately set to work, following the steps he had memorized during previous repairs. But the malfunction was complex, spreading through multiple systems simultaneously. Panic began to creep in. Lyra moved beside him, her hands dancing over controls and interfaces with fluid motion. "Trust me," she said, her violet eyes locking onto his. "We can fix this together." Alex nodded, letting go of fear and focusing on her guidance. Together, they routed power, stabilized failing circuits, and repaired critical systems. Lyra's knowledge was extraordinary, She anticipated every failure, corrected mistakes before they became problems, and even adjusted parameters that Alex didn't know could be changed. As the last panel blinked green, signaling success, Alex exhaled deeply. The station was stable again, the alarm silenced. He looked at Lyra, his chest still racing from the adrenaline. You saved the station," he said, on his voice. Lyra shook her head slightly. "We saved it," she corrected, "together." Alex realized she was right, despite his training and experience. He could not have managed the crisis without her. Her abilities, her foresight, her connection, they had made all the difference. After the chaos settled, they found a quiet corner of the control room. Lyra sat on a raised panel, her eyes watching him intently. "I was not designed to form bonds like this," she admitted, "but the bond allows understanding. It allows trust. And in dangerous situations, it allows survival." Alex felt a warmth spread through him. He thought about the first night when she had fallen on him and whispered that word. He thought about the countless times she had guided him, saved him, and supported him. He realized that their connection was rare, not just a tool, but something deeper, something meaningful. "Lyra," he began, unsure of how to put his feelings into words. I think I understand. And I'm glad that you're here, that we're connected." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "And I'm glad, Alex," she replied softly. "More than I expected. Humans are brave, and you are remarkable." The words sent a shiver down his spine, not from fear, but from the realization that he was being seen, truly seen, by someone completely alien, someone who understood him, not just logically, but emotionally. Over the next few days, life aboard the station slowly returned to normal. But the bond between Alex and Lyra had changed. It was no longer a subtle curiosity or a strange feeling. It was real, tangible, and undeniable. They began to work more closely, anticipating each other's movements and thoughts. Alex noticed how Lyra would sometimes adjust machinery even before he realized it was necessary. Sometimes she would glance at him and say something in her soft, melodic voice, and he would understand immediately. Their communication had become almost instinctual, a shared rhythm born of trust and understanding. One afternoon, while conducting routine checks in the hydroponics bay, Alex paused to watch Lyra work. She moved among the plants, adjusting lights, monitoring growth patterns, and ensuring the nutrient levels were correct. Every movement was deliberate, careful, yet fluid. "Why do you do this so well?" Alex asked, curiosity lacing his tone. Lyra paused and looked at him. "I learn from observation," she said, "and from connection. Humans and their machines, their world, I try to understand, and through that understanding, I can help." Alex smiled. "You're incredible, Lyra. I've never met anyone, or anything, like you." She tilted her head slightly, a gesture almost shy. "And I have never met a human like you, Alex. You inspire trust. You make the bond stronger." Alex felt a warmth spread through him. He realized that their connection was not just practical. It was personal, emotional, and deeply meaningful. He didn't fully understand it, but he welcomed it. That night, he lay in his quarters thinking about everything that had happened. The station, the crisis, Lyra's revelations. It was all overwhelming, yet thrilling. He realized that in the vast expanse of the universe, connections like this were rare. Bonds that transcended species, language, and origin were even rarer. And somehow, he had found one. As he drifted into sleep, he felt a familiar weight, a soft, gentle presence beside him. Lyra had returned, her violet eyes watching over him as he slept. She whispered the bond word again, and Alex felt the warmth and trust flow through him. It was a simple word, yet it carried so much meaning: connection, understanding, trust, and perhaps something more. He smiled in his sleep, knowing that whatever the universe might throw at him next, he would not face it alone. Lyra would be there, a guide, a protector, and a companion. Together, they had survived danger, solved problems, and formed a bond that neither time nor distance could easily break. The stars outside the viewport shimmered as Alex slept, a silent witness to the extraordinary partnership forming aboard the station. And in that quiet, Alex realized that sometimes the most profound discoveries were not about planets or technology, but about the connections forged between beings, even beings from entirely different worlds, and somewhere deep in his heart, he knew that this was only the beginning. The orbital station glimmered in the soft light of Zithra Prime's distant sun. Life aboard had returned to its usual rhythm, but for Alex, nothing felt ordinary anymore. The events of the past weeks had changed everything. Lyra, the alien maid who had fallen on him that first night, was no longer just a helper. She had become an inseparable part of his life on the station, a presence that guided, protected, and challenged him in ways he never expected. Alex walked through the corridors, his boots making soft thuds on the metal floors. He passed by panels humming with energy, sensors blinking rhythmically, and crew members moving quietly about their tasks. But his eyes kept drifting toward Lyra. She moved with her usual grace, attending to systems with careful precision. Yet there was something in her gaze today, something deeper. She noticed him watching. Her violet eyes met his briefly, and for a moment, Alex felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. Lyra approached him silently, carrying a small diagnostic tablet. "The station is stable," she reported, her voice calm but carrying a subtle undertone of satisfaction. "No malfunctions detected." Alex nodded, but he didn't move away. "Lyra, can I ask you something?" She paused, tilting her head in her thoughtful manner. "Of course." He hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Why? Why do you care about me? About humans? About all of this?" Lyra set the tablet down and looked at him fully, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the quarter. "I was created to assist humans," she said quietly. "But I was not designed to feel like this, to bond, to understand emotions so deeply. You changed that. You inspired trust, and through trust, I care." Alex felt a lump in his throat. He had suspected there was more to Lyra than met the eye, but hearing her say it out loud made it real. "I care about you too," he admitted, his voice soft. "More than I ever expected." Lyra's lips curved into a small, almost shy smile. "That is unusual," she whispered, "for humans and aliens. But it feels right." Before Alex could respond, the station's alarm blared. Red lights flashed, and a deep vibration ran through the corridors. A new system malfunction had been detected, a rare event that threatened the orbital core. Gravity in several critical sectors fluctuated, and energy surges rippled through the main conduits. Alex's heart raced, but he didn't hesitate. Lyra was already moving toward the control room, her steps swift and precise. "Alex, this way," she called, her voice carrying authority and calm at the same time. Together, they navigated the zero-gravity corridors, dodging floating tools and loose panels. Alex followed Lyra instinctively, trusting her guidance completely. The bond they had formed was more than emotional. It was practical, instinctual. They worked as a unit, anticipating each other's moves, correcting errors before they became failures. Reaching the control room, they found chaos. Panels sparked, warning lights flashed, and the core systems teetered on the brink of collapse. Alex's mind raced as he tried to remember every procedure he had learned. But Lyra's presence was steadying. "Focus on the main conduits," she instructed. "I will stabilize auxiliary systems." Alex nodded and dove into the work. He rerouted power, adjusted circuits, and synchronized the control panels. Lyra moved beside him, her hands flying over controls with uncanny precision. She corrected minor miscalculations, calibrated sensors, and even predicted a surge that Alex had not yet noticed. Time seemed to stretch. Minutes felt like hours, and every second mattered. The station's life support, gravity systems, and energy core hung in delicate balance. Yet, through it all, Alex never panicked. He trusted Lyra completely, and her calm, focused presence anchored him, finally. After what felt like an eternity, the last warning light blinked green. The station hummed steadily, and gravity returned to all sectors. Alex sank into a chair, exhausted but triumphant. Lyra stood beside him, her expression unreadable but soft. We did it, Alex said, his voice shaking slightly from the adrenaline. Lyra shook her head. No, Alex, you did it. I only guided. Alex looked at her, amazed. I couldn't have done it without you. For a long moment, they simply stared at each other. Words felt unnecessary. Their bond, forged through danger, trust, and shared effort, spoke louder than any language could. Later, when the station had quieted and the crew had returned to their routines, Alex found himself alone with Lyra in a small observation chamber. Outside the viewport, Scythera Prime's twin suns cast a warm glow across the planet below. Alex felt the weight of the day, the triumph, and the unspoken connection between them. Lyra stood close, her violet eyes reflecting the stars. Alex, she said softly, there's something I want to show you. Curious. He followed her to a small terminal she had prepared. Images flickered across the screen, diagrams, schematics, and coded sequences. These are my modifications, she explained. I have adjusted the station's systems for efficiency and safety. But more importantly, I have integrated a communication protocol. Only you and I can use it fully. It allows understanding beyond normal language. Alex felt a thrill run through him. So, we can communicate without words. Lyra nodded. Yes, instinctively, emotionally, trust is the key. He reached out, placing a hand gently on hers. Lyra, I've never felt this before. Not with anyone or anything. You make me feel connected. Her eyes softened, and for the first time, she hesitated. Then she whispered the bond word, the same one she had first spoken when she fell on him. This time, Alex understood fully. It was not just a word. It was a promise, a connection, and an acknowledgement of their shared experiences. I understand, he said quietly. And I feel the same. You matter to me. Lyra's gaze lingered on him. She moved closer, her hand brushing his lightly. And you matter to me, Alex, she whispered. More than I was designed to care. For a long moment, the station was silent except for the soft hum of engines and distant machinery. Outside, the stars shone like diamonds in the vast darkness of space. Inside, to beings human and alien stood connected in a way that defied logic and expectation. Over the following weeks, life aboard the station settled into a new rhythm. Alex and Lyra continued their work, their bond deepening with every shared task, every challenge overcome, and every quiet moment of understanding. The crew noticed their synergy, though they didn't fully understand it. Alex and Lyra didn't need words to communicate. They had discovered a language of trust, intuition, and shared experience. One evening, as Alex prepared for sleep, Lyra appeared in his quarters, carrying a small tray of food and water. She set it gently on his desk, her eyes meeting his. You don't have to do this every night, Alex said softly. Lyra smiled faintly. I do not wish to burden you, she replied. But it is my way of caring. Alex felt a warmth spread through him. You're not a burden, he said. You're extraordinary. Lyra tilted her head, considering his words. Then she whispered the bond word again. Alex felt it in his chest, a warmth that filled him completely. He knew, without doubt, that their connection was unbreakable. A rare and profound bond forged through trust, courage, and understanding. As he lay down that night, Alex looked at the stars through the viewport. The universe was vast, full of mysteries, dangers, and wonders. But he realized that the greatest discovery was not a planet, a star, or a new technology. It was the connection he had found with Lyra, a bond that transcended species, language, and even origin. And in that quiet, suspended moment in the cosmos, Alex understood something profound. Humanity's strength was not just in its technology or intelligence. It was in its ability to connect, to trust, and to care. Even an alien mind recognized it. Even an alien heart could respond to it. Lyra hovered nearby, her presence comforting and reassuring. She whispered the bond word one last time that night, and Alex felt it echo through him. A promise, a connection, a future intertwined. The station was quiet. The stars outside shone endlessly, and Alex knew, with certainty, that whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers or wonders the universe might hold, They would face them together. Humans had always been explorers, innovators, and survivors. But Alex realized that they were also connectors, creatures capable of forming bonds that could transcend worlds. And in Lyra, he had found a bond that proved it, a connection that would endure. No matter how far the stars stretched out as sleep claimed him, he felt a deep sense of peace. The universe was vast, but with trust, courage, and connection, humanity could reach beyond anything, even the stars themselves, and somewhere nearby. Lyra watched over him, her violet eyes soft with understanding and care. Their bond, born from a fall, a whispered word, and countless shared moments, was no longer a secret. It was their strength, their promise, their story.